Or maybe we leave this in? Because we're going to lose the shot?
Yep.
How many bolts for the whole front end?
4.
What do we have taken out so far or loose?
The top 2, the bottom one's just sitting in there, and this, that bottom one's just sitting in here too, so.
Maybe we check the wiring.
You wanna grab a?
Think this unplugs?
No, I wouldn't try messing with these. I would just cut it right back here.
Engine removed. Rusty pulley extracted. Now it looks like this. And so trying to figure out miscellaneous parts. Miscellaneous parts. So if we do an axle flip, it looks like the axle is just bolted in there. If we put it on the top, oh, safety first. What kind of clearance will that give us? There we go. Now we got the stands on the frame.
So we can mess around with our steering a little bit.
That goes there. Interesting. You only need one wheel, right? We can make it a trike.
Ooh.
We can make it a trike.
That's some anglage.
Perfect for drifting, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. So, we have an idea. And we're going to let the star of the show show us with our axle.
You should show them the Minnesota's rust axle.
So, yep. So apparently axles shouldn't have speed holes like that.
Weight reduction.
Need some repair there. We're looking at bolting the axle, or we're putting it on further up on the chassis. And here, pause that for a second, because that's no one will hear anything, by the way. Why don't you grab this? So we're looking at moving the axle further up on the chassis, maybe, and trying to keep our steering geometry in place, all those things. So we would put it something like this, which you put it about 3.5 inches higher, give or take.
So we just set that right on top of there. We'd center it. We would cut the bottom of this off, and we would put something from here to here. So that would give us almost a skid type part in the front, and then also reinforce the bottom of this. We'd have to repair the one rust hole here, but that'd be no big deal. We'd have plenty of space to guzz it in the back. We just got to see how well our motor will fit in here.
So we just need a tiny license plate for that hole then. Right?
Yeah.
So next step, get the motor on here and see if that fits, how much we got to wiggle here. Then if we can replace this spindle with that spindle, swap the spindles, we still have our steering geometry and gear about in the same place. So we will see if that works. So life and limb have been risked to get springs out. We're starting to get a bucket of springs over here. And getting the rest of the deck mechanism down and out of the way so we can figure out where
Danger.
our axle will be. So, getting closer. So there is a 212 hideout up there. We would take out some of the sheet metal surrounding there where the original gas tank for the mower was. Want to make room for the CVT torque converter and chain assembly. Should be able to fire a chain right down there. And then the next kind of big step is figuring out rear axle. With this, the transmission and axle are essentially one piece.
They are one piece.
They are one piece. So, we gotta get the engine further back to make room for our planned front axle. And it'll give us a better picture of what all that will look like then. Left. And with the cowl and firewall taken down and the steering shaft sticking up there, that's kind of sort of what it looks like. Get an idea of what that might be mocked up in there. So now looking at how much space we need for things up in front, makes us think about steering a little bit different too, and how much we might need to trim to fit everything we need there. Even though you put a different air cleaner on, you still need to get around there. Put a different pipe on. That's a little easier because you can route that down to the ground, but you know, she's a Hemi. So, any thoughts so far? Start of the show.
I think it might be easier to do some different axle assembly or something than that. We already knew that we're gonna have to chop a bit back. Curious to see what axle we can come up with to see if we can make stuff easier, and then how far down seating position we can get. And that's about it.
We took the spring set out and we sat right there. Gotta bring you down 3 inches, 4 inches.
Almost 6, it looks like. But
So, well, the seat, yeah. Bring the seat down that many inches. I don't know.
I'd like to, it'd be nice to be able to see even lower than that. Because we move the fenders up a little bit, move everything up, but one axle sits decently below the frame out here.
We have a couple tractor seats we can try out. You know.
Back with another day in the shop, working on our fantastic project at hand. So our little winter project, our hot rod lawn mower, race mower, whatever you want to call it, mower. We have it upside down, as you can see. The back is on a piece of wood on the old seat mount, and then it stands in the middle and stands on the front. And so we're figuring out the best way to mount this axle with still being in a good location and not hitting anything. So our main thing that we need to do right now is center it. And it'll be relatively easy for us to move it upwards, because our plan is to, well, this piece to the front of these, even if it's a little crooked, it doesn't really matter as long as we get the axle straight. And we're gonna put a piece of angle iron underneath, like right here. So then if we need to go up a little bit to avoid like hitting our big nuts over here, we can just put some washers or like little spacers in there, and that'll be pretty easy to do. Another thing is we gotta make sure we don't hit our tires. So we're getting as much clearance as possible, which by moving the axle upwards, or I guess farther down if you flipped it around, will raise our suspension, I guess you could say, or our rear axle. So we have a sprocket coming that should fit, and it should be here on Wednesday. So the annoying thing is because it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day, is it today or tomorrow? So I have Monday and Tuesday off, so today's Monday. We're working on this, so hopefully I can get the rear axle mounted today. So then, after that, we can figure out what to do with the front end. Whether we just slap the old one back on for now and put new bushings in it and just call her good. But another thing we gotta worry about is the steering here is kind of not in a very good location. So yeah. So in about half an hour we're gonna stop for lunch, but we'll center everything up good, and then we'll probably go for lunch, and then we'll weld it in and such. So yeah, we're gonna try to put it back. It's gonna be a little bit farther back from the center line of the old axle, and it's significantly wider on each side. So even though we're technically raising the rear of it some, it should still be quite stable. And the front end, another thing about the front end, I wanted to keep good ground clearance, and then we have good ground clearance on the back too. As you can see from, this is our lowest point, is the bottom of the brake drum. And we'll put our weird cover thing back on. We'll probably put it on upside down now, so the rusty hole is on the top instead of the bottom. But even then, it shouldn't really matter very much. We'll probably just put the backing plate on so it keeps the junk out for the most part. Yeah, we still got to order brakes, but we're more worried about it going than stopping right now. So yeah, Minnesota's rust. No, this thing's got some rust, but it's actually not that bad at all. And then there's like some of the things on this where, you know, that is a certified do what you can with what you have moment right there. So yeah. We also should be increasing the wheelbase overall a little bit. And depending on our gear ratio, so at the beginning we have, I don't know what the exact proportions between this and this are at the first stage of torque convertering, but I know that's a 10-tooth sprocket. I know the one that we have coming is a 60, so it should be 1 to 6 to begin with for at least, and then I think that's about a 1 to 2-ish or something around there. So we should have like maybe 12 to 1-ish, so 12 to 1 for the engine, from axle to engine, or 1 to 12. So it should be lots of torque. Which we'll need if we're gonna pop any wheelies. Okay. Minnesota is rust.